I'm Elizabeth at A Literary Princess. If you are new here, welcome. I have a PhD in English literature with a focus on Victorian women novelists, and as you might expect, I love to read. Today I have a tag video for you. This is the Seriously Well-Read book tag created by Randy from The Literate Texan, and I was tagged by Kelly from Books I'm Not Reading. So there are, how many questions? There are 11 questions. Let's jump in. Question number 1, what book made you take reading seriously? And I don't think this is going to be much of a surprise to those of you who have been around the channel for a while. Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I first read this at 14, and it is the book that got me into reading classics. I was a reader like for my whole life before this, but I really didn't look at books as like something to be analyzed and picked apart and to really think about until I read Wuthering Heights. Like I read for entertainment and fun, and yes, for school, but still I enjoyed them usually, not all of them. But this is the first one that made me really say, wow, and think about the language and the narrative structure and what is the author trying to do here. So yeah, at the age of 14, this book rocked my world and continues to be my favorite book ever, and a very special book to me that I wrote on in my master's dissertation, and now I have a PhD, so Wuthering Heights is why I'm here, I guess you could say. Question number 2, what book did you pretend to understand? Be honest. So I'm pretty good at being at just saying I didn't get it. One that I had to kind of fake my way through, or I guess not even one, it's like kind of a body of work, is John Milton's prose, because I have taken 2 classes on John Milton, one in undergrad and one in my PhD, and his poetry, great. Love Paradise Lost. Is it a difficult book? Yes, but I get it. Milton's prose, no, I don't get it. And like generally speaking, I am willing to admit I don't get it. But since I was in classes on them, I did kind of have to fake my way through understanding them in class discussions and even in some essays, like especially Areopagitica. Get away from me. Just get away from me. So yeah, I have like kind of faked my way through those, but with anyone other than my professor, I'm pretty like upfront about being like, yeah, I didn't get it. One book though that I think I thought I understood when I first read it, but I really did not understand it at all, was Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. I read this when I was 23 or 24 maybe, after my master's degree, and I know that I didn't, like I know now that I didn't get it, but I thought that I was just like, it's just blah. Like I think I remember saying I didn't find it that impressive, which I didn't at the time. And I thought I understood what Virginia Woolf was doing, and I was like, I just don't think it's that impressive. When I revisited this because I was going to teach it, again, it rocked my world. Not quite as much as Wuthering Heights, but I was like, oh, that's what she's doing. This is, oh, okay, now I get it. And I was able to look back and see, you did not know, you didn't get it back then. I wasn't pretending though, I thought I got it, but it is one that I definitely did not get the first time I read it. Question number 3, which 3 books are on your personal required reading list? So first up has to be Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. You might ask, why not Wuthering Heights, your favorite Bronte book? Jane Eyre is my second favorite. I think Jane Eyre has a much more universal appeal to it. You either love or you hate Wuthering Heights. There's no in between. It's just, you either like it or you don't. And if you don't like it, you really don't like it. Jane Eyre has a much more universal appeal. I think that it's just more relatable for people than Wuthering Heights, because Jane is a pretty relatable character. And you know, it's a coming of age story. It's something that we kind of all understand a little bit better than Wuthering Heights. Well, I do think that Jane Eyre is like one of those almost must-read books. There's never any one book that I'm like, everybody must read this. But generally speaking, I think people should read Jane Eyre. I think it is a very important work of Victorian literature, a very important novel in English literature in general, not just Victorian. And just like a really good book. So yeah, Jane Eyre is definitely the top one. Number 2 is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I don't know, this is just, you have to read The Hobbit. I don't know. It is like the classic fantasy. Unless, yes, I suppose The Lord of the Rings is more complex thematically and like writing-wise and character-wise, but The Hobbit is where it all started. And I think this is just, it's perfect for anyone, like young or old, you can enjoy it. And it's just, it's like one of the foundational texts of modern fantasy. And then the third one is a novella in the collection Different Seasons by Stephen King, and this is The Body, known better by the film title of Stand By Me. I am of the opinion that every child should read this at the age of 12, which is the age the characters are in the book. It is the age that I read it at. So like, yeah, it's again, a coming of age story. And I think that it just, like, you really should read it at the age of 12 or watch the movie. Cause like, obviously some people don't like reading. I don't know. I think the story, the look at friendships, the look at family relationships, the look at growing up, and like that difficult transition from childhood to being a teenager, I think it is just done so spectacularly well here. And I really do think that, like, again, I'm not like everyone should read like this specific book, but I really do think like most 12-year-olds should read this. That's just my opinion. Question number 4, what author have you been avoiding? So I would have to say D.H. Lawrence. So I've read him before. I read Women in Love during my master's because Terry Eagleton was coming to give a talk on it. And then I didn't even go to the talk because I got lost. But I hated that book so much. And again, you know what? I think it's largely I just didn't get it. But I've been avoiding D.H. Lawrence ever since. I did have to teach one short story by him in my Brit Lit class. And even then, I like gave it to the class. I was like, I don't know, what do you guys think? Because pretty weird, right? Yeah, so I have definitely, I'm always like, how can I avoid D.H. Lawrence at all costs? And a friend of mine, Lady Chatterley's Lover, is one of her favorite books. She's like, you really should read it. No, but D.H. Lawrence. So like, I really should get over it and read Lady Chatterley's Lover, and maybe eventually return to Women in Love. We'll see. But I am definitely avoiding it because I hated that book so much. Question number 5, what's the hardest book you've ever finished? Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov, hands down. That book made me feel stupid. I'm not stupid, but it made me feel stupid. And like, I had the annotated version too. Now, some of you guys might remember me reading this. I think it was last year, I guess. I don't know. It must have been last year. But it was a struggle every step of the way. There was so much going on, so many references, so many just weird things. And then on top of it, we have this narrator who is disgusting. Disgusting. So gross. And like, so I'm like, not only am I not understanding what's happening, but every time I pick this up, I feel like I need to go take a shower to cleanse myself from this guy's grossness. So that was just a very difficult book in terms of the subject matter, because, you know, we are talking about a book narrated by a guy who does something horrible to a child, but also just the way Nabokov writes and all his references, and so hard. I'm glad I read it, I think. If only to be able to say that I read it. But that was hard. It was definitely the hardest thing I've ever read. And I'm never rereading it. Ever. Question number 6. What's a book that changed how you read? Middlemarch by George Eliot. So I read this, when did I first read this? It was a few years ago now. And I didn't like it the first time, really. But while I was reading it, I recognized I need to be annotating this, to be tracking stuff and putting themes together and all of that. I never really annotated my books before. I had been forced to in high school for one class, and I hated it. And you can tell from the annotations that I made in the books that I hated it and was not happy. And then after that, never annotated anything. But this one, I was like, I need to annotate that. And now I do annotate more. Not a whole lot. I'm not like writing comments in the margins. I will highlight things. And sometimes I will tab. I did tab Middlemarch, but I've taken the tabs out since. But I do have things underlined. Particularly, I mean even just the first, no, not the introduction, like the first. Oh, apparently not in this copy. That's weird. I did start reading it in a different copy, so I must have annotated that part in that. But, and it's not, oh, here we go. Here's like a, do I have any idea what? Oh, I do actually. It was talking about oppression of women and marriage. Okay, yeah. I can tell immediately why I highlighted that. But that was the first time that I really started doing that. And now I do it, especially for the books I'm doing projects on, which I ended up doing a George Eliot project where I reread Middlemarch and liked it much better. And now I do highlight those books. Again, I don't write in the margins, it's just highlighting. I might get to the point where I write in the margins, I don't know. I feel kind of weird about it, especially like if I end up getting rid of the book. Like there's some books I know I'm not gonna get rid of, but then others that I know I probably will. And that I feel kind of weird, like some of my 18th century novel project books that I ended up donating, or not donating, like selling to the used bookstore. And they had highlights in it. I felt kind of weird. I'm like, people are gonna like look at my highlights if they buy this book. That's kind of odd. But I don't know. So I felt weird about it. So I'm like kind of still a little hesitant. But I know that when I'm doing a project or a book review, I need to highlight stuff so that I can go back and find those quotes. So this is the book that made me realize that. Question number 7, quality versus quantity. Would you rather read 100 good books in a year or 10 great books? This is a very difficult question. Because, like, yeah, the idea of having 10 books in a year that were just great, like truly great. Like, that sounds really nice. However, 10 of them, what have I been doing the rest of the year? Because my main thing is reading. It is my main hobby. It is my way of entertaining myself. It is literally my work. So if I've only read 10 books, even if they're all great, what have I been doing? And why am I not doing what I enjoy, you know? Like, did it take me did it take me all year to read those 10 books? In which case, God, were they all Les Miserables? Because that's definitely taking me all year. So, like, I don't know. I would say that generally speaking, I do read about 100 good books a year, usually a bit over. But that, like, yeah, that is like what I generally read. And I do like that. And like some of the books that I read in a year are great, but I would say the majority are good. Even the 5-star reads, like even like not every 5-star book not every book I give a 5-star rating to is a great book. Sometimes I'm like, this is actively bad book. I don't care. But like even a lot of the 5-star reads I have are really just good. They are not great. They're not Wuthering Heights, you know? But if I were only to read 10 great books, like if I read, Wuthering Heights, Jane Eyre, Our Mutual Friend, and like, you know, several others. I'm like, what else am I doing? So I don't know. I think, yeah, I would generally prefer to read 100 good books in a year rather than just 10 great books. Because it is my form of entertainment, first and foremost, I would say, actually. So what else have I been doing is my real question. Question number 8. Which genre are you embarrassed to say you have not read? Is it a genre? I guess technically. I would say classics outside of the UK and the US. Like, I feel like I'm really deficient. And even in European classics, like France, Italy, Spain, Russia, but then like with Asian, African, and South American, it's even worse. It's like almost nothing. So at least like with like French classics, I've read a few. So like I've read The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. As you all probably know, reading Les Miserables by Victor Hugo at the moment, slowly. Although I'm almost at page 200 of volume 1. I'm super excited. And then I've read some Guy de Maupassant stories, and I've read Madame Bovary. And then like for Russian, I've read a few. I've read Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky, which I need to reread. I'm hoping to reread this year, actually. Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy, and then also by Leo Tolstoy, The Death of Ivan Ilyich. Although I have not read the other stories that are contained in here. I should probably do that. I don't even know what else is in here. Anyway, so I really do want to expand my reading in classics from the rest of Europe and from Asia, Africa, and South America. And honestly, definitely starting with Europe, with France and Russia. So like I have Eugénie Grandet by Honoré de Balzac, which I'm hoping to read at some point, hopefully next year actually. Indiana by George Sand. And then of course, War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. So yeah, I think France and Russia are the first 2 countries I'm like trying to tackle with that, but I hope to expand like my classics around the entire globe as well. My project for next year is actually going to be contributing to that. And if you want a little hint, War and Peace will be one of the books I'll be reading. So you can make your guesses. But yeah, I do need to expand and read more classics from the rest of the world and not just the UK and the US. And yeah, even really the US I kind of neglect too. Because of course I study Victorian literature. Like that is what my degree is English literature, and I focus on the 19th century in England. So, but I do need to expand. Question number 9, what book do you think most people misread? Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. As shown by the new movie. Greatest love story ever told. This is not a love story. I mean, is there love story, like, are there love stories involved? Sure. Sure. We have Kathy and Heathcliff, whose love is such a force, such a destructive, toxic, awful force that it literally ruins everybody's lives. Yeah, that sounds really romantic. And to be fair, younger Kathy, young Kathy, Kathy 2, Catherine Linton, whatever you want to call her, and Hareton, their love story is a big part of this. Or in the second half, really. But this is not a love story. Like, this is not... you know? And people, I think, because it has been misread as that and adapted as such into films, that people then go into the book expecting a love story. And so when they read it, they're like, wow, that was horrible. Because it's not a love story. And like, if you read this as a love story, you're left thinking, oh my God, that's terrible. What kind of love story is that? That's terrible. Either that or you're like, that's great. And in that case, please get therapy. Please. But this is a revenge story. It's about generational trauma and toxic relationships, the cycle of abuse, racism, classism, so much. But it is not a love story in the way that something like Persuasion is a love story. So I think this is a terribly misread book. And like, is it kind of cliche to say this for what's the book most people misread? Probably. But you know what? With the latest movie that just came out, yeah. Not a love story. Question number 10, what does seriously well read mean to you? And I would say for me, it combines two things, reading widely and reading deeply. So reading widely, meaning lots of different genres, from lots of different time periods, from lots of different places, like just a broad scope of kind of everything. Reading deeply, I mean like paying attention to the themes, understanding those themes, making connections between various works. So like being an active reader, I guess, and really like thinking about what you are reading and what does it mean and why would the author be writing it this way and how does this connect to other things and all of that. So I say the combination of those two is what would make somebody seriously well-read. I would not actually consider myself seriously well-read. I'm well-read. I'll say that, I'm well-read. I am not seriously well-read. As I said, there are like classics that I'm seriously deficient in. I do say I'm pretty good with the reading deeply, even when I'm reading something that's not like a classic or a piece of literary fiction, like even just fantasy. I'm like paying attention to the themes and motifs and like making connections and stuff. But the reading widely, I don't have that yet. So I'm well-read, but I am not seriously well-read. My goal is to be seriously well-read. And I feel like for most readers, that like kind of would be the goal. If you're reading for something other than entertainment, if you're like, I want to read these great works and be thinking about all this stuff, and then like the goal is being seriously well-read. Is anyone ever seriously well-read? I don't know. Some of these classic writers and like 19th century philosophers and stuff probably were, but yeah, I would not consider myself seriously well-read. That's just me. So question 11 is to tag others, and I am going to tag Katie from Books and Things, Heather from Fresh Parchment, Roz from Scallydandling About the Books, and Kate from Diary of a Provincial Lady. I would love to hear your answers to these questions, but no pressure. If you don't want to do it, don't. If I have not tagged you, but you want to do this, please feel free to consider yourself tagged by me, or tell me your answers to some of the questions down in the comments below. Also, have you read any of the books I've talked about? What did you think of them? What do you consider to be seriously well-read? Thank you once again to Randy for creating such a thoughtful and thought-invoking tag, and to Kelly for tagging me. I had a lot of fun doing this and really thinking over the answers to these. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more of my bookish content. It has been great chatting with you. I will see you soon. Bye.